My name is Aaron Ladd, host of the Chief Squad Show here in the Locked On Podcast Network. I know back in my day, the Pro Bowl used to mean something. You know, they would give it out to guys who actually earned it. Now you can start 7 games and get in there, or opt out when you get an ad. We'll talk about the Pro Bowl in this episode of the Chief Squad Show.
And I'm J.C. Pearson. And on that note, it's not what it used to be. Travis Kelce doesn't want to play in it like a lot of other players. It just doesn't mean the same.
And I'm Darren Smith. Whether you're Aaron Ladd as a hater or you're Travis Kelce who's a believer, you know what I'm saying? It's wrist up time. But all that being said, we got a whole lot to talk about as it relates to the Chiefs, Super Bowl, and everything else.
Chiefs Kingdom, stand up. It's the Chiefs Squad. Everything Kansas City Chiefs every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from Arrowhead Stadium, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Squad up. The Chiefs Squad Show starts now.
What does that mean, Darren? Shador,
wrist up, what is that? Hey, perfect timing, man.
Wrist up? Timing. Is that what that means?
Wrist up, yeah.
It is perfect timing. Perfect timing for another episode of the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, J.C. Pearson, Darren Smith. We should be joined by another friend of ours here in the moment as we talk everything around the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Special shout out to our everydayers and those that make us the first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We will talk Pro Bowl as Travis Kelce opts out. You will hear from, or we will talk about Andy Reid and his first press conference or news conference since officially welcoming back Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator. We'll continue our free agency focus series with wide receiver Hollywood Brown. And then we will offer a stadium update as Kansas City continues to get closer to a new facility. Let's start with Travis Kelce. I don't think this is a surprise. He was named to the Pro Bowl, decided this week that he was not going to participate, so the alternates were announced. I guess, JC, does this tell us, as we try to read the tea leaves here, is he in? Is he out? Will he play? Will he retire? Does this offer you anything as far as that is concerned?
I think if anything, it may be a positive that he's going to come back and play next year because he's taken more time to rest, get away from it. I think if he was calling it a career, he probably would play this game because even though it's a flag game and all that, he probably would play because, it would be kind of his farewell game if he's not going to play anymore. But so by him not playing, obviously he's got a lot going on and everything, but I think it's a positive sign that maybe he probably is going to come back and play next year.
Do you read it the same way, Darren?
Well, I'm on the record thinking that he's going to come back anyway, so I don't think this decision had anything to do with it. I did read that they said that, I think he was still fighting an injury bug, so that's probably one of the main reasons why he decided to pull out. Plus, if he were to come, he probably doesn't feel like answering all these questions about Taylor Swift and get inundated with that. So better for him, especially with the Chiefs not actually playing in the game, just to keep a low profile until, and look, if he's working on his wedding stuff, that's where he needs to, have his focus live. Now, granted, that'll be later on this summer, so he still has between now and March to determine whether or not he's going to return and work something out with the organization. So in that regards, I don't think his decision to pull out is anything more than just him not wanting to play and not risk any injury.
Yeah, but I would think, not to cut you off, Aaron, but I would think that if you're going to retire and you're not going to play another football game the rest of your life, that you would get this last one in and
I agree with that.
Kind of go out with that. But, I know Clark said today on, in his press conference that they want him to come back and they feel like that he can still play and produce at a high level. With EB coming back, his Travis's comments about that, I think all the signs are pointing towards, taking some time, heal up, get that fire burning again, and I think we're going to see him now next year.
That was Clark Hunt talking on Good Morning Football. They said that if he were to come back, he would be welcomed with open arms. That's what Clark Hunt
It's crazy because the way JC made it seem like, oh, wait a second, we didn't get no email about no press conference. So,
well, I mean, whatever it was, hey,
because I was on Andy's press conference. I'm like, we got no notification about Clark Hunt. So, and hold on, and before we go further,
you got to get your game up.
Nah. Before we go further, because she's watching, I had to give my mom a shout out. So yeah, say hello to my mom because she's watching.
What up? Thank you for joining us.
I guess we'll take it easy on him today, since you're watching, Mom. But
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I know y'all hate when I do this, so I'm gonna preface it with that. If Travis Kelce's on his way out, or if he's part of this world building, we've heard about this term for a while. Kelce is, putting his leg in the other side of post-career Hollywood, expanding his brand, trying to expand the Kelce empire. He, Jason, and whoever. Wouldn't being there part of the Pro Bowl festivities be another part of that? Wouldn't that allow him an opportunity, the free runway to continue to build that? I don't know where I stand on how this fits into the whole am I retiring, am I not? But the fact that he's just not at least taking the layup of, hey, hang out, dap guys up, the camaraderie part of it. Players like being around Kelce as well. And, of course, he still does the tight end university, and maybe that's where he's getting some of the fulfillment of it. But to me, it's just a little weird that he just wouldn't go and hang out, considering it's not a game. You just dodgeball, you take some pictures. Maybe you have one availability press-wise, and then you move on.
But Aaron, but to that point, obviously the 2 years that the team didn't make it to the Super Bowl during this run, I think one time was in Orlando. I think the other time was in Vegas, because I know we had went to that game, and it just seems like, and JC knows, because the game is like really no longer, like an actual football game, or that it's not in Hawaii. I mean, and of course, I guess, I don't know, we'll talk about later on because of Shedeur making it, whatever, to where the Pro Bowl just isn't what it is to be. And a lot of it has to do with, I think Sean Taylor, got arrested. So I think, he obliterated a kicker or somebody, in one of those games, and people was like, bruh, this is like an exhibition and you really playing full speed. So players don't really want to risk injuries and stuff like that in the actual game. And so because of that, it kind of lost the importance and the magnitude and what it meant. And again, once they took it away from Hawaii, it was, with that actual vacation where players were, either taking their wives, their girlfriends, their side chicks or whatever. It's just one of those things that it just doesn't have the same meaning any longer.
Why not your girl?
How you gonna say mom is watching it and the next breath talk about side chicks? Like,
I mean, hey, he told me to go hard, so pause.
Come on, man.
That's what you said. What you said in the text message. So,
but I agree with you there that one of the biggest benefits about going to the Pro Bowl was it was a free trip to Hawaii, all expenses paid. You get to hang out for a week and do all those things, plus make a little money, if you won the game, a little less if you lost the game. They still pay them, but it's not the same now. And, it's flag football. It's lost a lot of luster. That's why guys don't go. They pull out for whatever reason. There was a day when pulling out was unheard of because it was such an honor to be named to the Pro Bowl. But the luster's gone now, and you go down to so many of the guys that like how Shedeur got in. He's the alternate, however many down. So they just keep going down and down until they can find somebody that's willing to play, and it's not really the same.
And the other thing is, to JC's point, I mean, why really do you want to? I mean, do you want to go? Because again, I mean, I get what you're saying, Aaron, to where you want to dap players up, but most of the time, you can do that in the offseason. Travis, of course, he and other tight ends have their tight end university, and I mean, right now the Pro Bowl is more so about getting that quote unquote title of being a Pro Bowler, because that helps when it comes to the contract. When it's time for it, because and we talked about it before there. For some reason, your salary can increase based on being named a Pro Bowler, but not an All Pro. And that's what I was talking with JC about. Like Trent McDuffie has been I think he's a 2 or 3 time All-Pro corner, but he has yet to be named a Pro Bowler. And because of that, his 5th year did not get elevated. He didn't get the bump in pay for his 5th year because of that. And so, I don't think that's fair. But there seems to be more stress on being named a Pro Bowler than it is being an All-Pro.
And now, if you do go, a question: if you're named a Pro Bowler, but you choose not to go, like Travis and a number of other guys have done, do you still get credit for being a Pro Bowler for that season? Yes. Oh, well, shoot. There, yeah.
And the alternate gets the credit too.
Yeah.
Like
so
both of the guys, they basically split it.
So no wonder a bunch of guys pull out, because I still get the honor and the credit. And like you said, for, legacy and all that, they still, say he's an X number of time Pro Bowler. And, so.
And if I remember correctly, players, at least, I don't know how it is now. But I remember, obviously, when they were playing the game, players used to receive either a ring or a watch or something for being named a Pro Bowler. I can't remember if it was Kimball Anders or Tony Richardson told me, but a watch. Yeah, it was a nice watch too, I'm sure. So,
Creed Humphrey, Chris Jones, Trey Smith, the remaining Pro Bowlers outside of Travis Kelce. And then the KC also has 3 alternates as well. Mahomes, we know he won't play. McDuffie and Nick Bolton. I kind of don't expect any of these.
Okay.
I kind of don't expect any of these guys to play. I mean, not that I'm ever doing. You're going?
Well, yeah. I mean, I go to San Francisco on Sunday, but to your point, I don't even know like the games and stuff that you play throughout the evening or whatever. So, I mean, I'm interested to see, but that also takes place the same night as the media party. So it just depends on.
Oh, so you won't be there? You'll be at the media party.
I'll be at 2 places. Well, the media party goes on late to the midnight hour, so on a Tuesday of all days. So yeah.
Oh, perfect. So we'll be going live here on the Chief Squad Show. You'll have some new interviews for us or something like that.
Perhaps.
Yo, come on! If you're gonna be down there, we need you to do some work.
Hold on. Okay, just so you know, Aaron, when we go live, that's technically the start of the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl starts at 5 o'clock out there, so that's what we'll be. So if I'm there, obviously I'll be doing the show from somewhere, and I think JC's supposed to be there. Are you gonna?
So you can? No, I'm not going to that. I'm not getting in until later. But so you're going to the Pro Bowl, so you can get us some Creed Humphrey sound,
if he's there. I mean, hold on. Didn't
some everybody sound?
Didn't you all just predict he wasn't going? That they weren't going to show up. I mean,
somebody's going to show up. It don't have to be a Chief. Just get us some sound, bro.
Oh, okay.
Mom, is he always this difficult? I'm talking. Text in, Mom. Something. Is he always been this way?
He's watching on Facebook. I don't know if it's gonna switch over to YouTube.
Need to get you a whooping or something, man.
I'm reading through the events for the Pro Bowl games, as they're called. We obviously have the quarterback passing challenge. Then there's a satisfying catch competition, as well as the big spike competition. And then there is a couple of other ones. There's, I believe, a helmet harmony between a guesser and an anchor. Clearly, they've changed up the format quite a bit since JC's playing days. And Travis Kelce saw that and said, "You know what? I'm actually good for this year." Yeah.
None of that sounds exciting, does it? As you're naming all that off, you're like, what is that? So
they basically turn these things into like TikTok events, basically, to where you can clip it up really nicely and it makes good for a vertical video, and you move on. There's no risk of injury, and you can just kind of move on, and everybody can wipe their hands of it and be done at the end of the day. I guess that's what the goal was.
Yeah. I think I saw dodgeball. In the past, they played dodgeball, but what's that got to do with football and the Pro Bowl? It's supposed to be, they're there because they had a great year in football. Now they're here playing dodgeball and helmet trivia or whatever you said, all these other things that, people are like, what is that?
So we're all saying Kelce's back. It's show of hands. Everybody thinks Kelce's back. We'll do another update here. This is January 27th. Yep. Okay.
Are we doing the Shador thing? What is that?
I'm just saying, man. That's what Kelce did on this podcast. So you know what I'm saying. I mean, Kelce approves. So if he approves, I approve.
We'll talk Andy Reid on the other side of this break. He talks Eric Bieniemy coming back to Kansas City as offensive coordinator. You're listening to the Chiefs Squad Show on the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
Hey, wait a minute, man. I have a question.
What's up, JC?
How come we don't have those Locked On Chiefs podcast backdrop? He's got the Locked On Lions podcast and all that, the backdrop. Hey, Darren, our host got to step it up with somebody, right?
Something, man.
Something, man.
Me? Y'all depended on me for that?
Well, hey, somebody got them from somewhere.
JC, you're the only one on this panel who played professional football. You should be in the best state of all, right?
What's that got to do with the Locked On podcast? What's that got to do with the Locked On podcast, bro? That's dude got a backdrop and everything.
To the NFLPA money, huh?
Yeah, you got a whole pension.
You know what I'm saying? Tap into that pension and buy some backdrops.
Now we ganging up. Okay, if you want to do it like that, then some of that DraftKings winning money. Then can we get some?
Not about DraftKings
or whatever it is. Can we get some Locked On Chiefs backdrops?
About that, Mom. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, next subject. What we talking about, Andy? Hold on.
Say what?
Andy Reid this press conference again? Talking about Eric Bieniemy this segment.
We are back in on the Chiefs Squad Show. JC Pearson, Darren Smith, Aaron Ladd. We're talking Andy Reid because he had a press conference on Monday. If you're listening to this, not a lot noteworthy that came out of this. His typical evasiveness, if you ask me, but there were a couple.
There was a lot.
Well, okay. Well, where you kick us off then, Darren? What was newsworthy to you?
He was very supportive of Matt Nagy and what he brought to this offense these last 3 years, which was a surprise to a lot of us.
How was that a surprise to you? You thought he was going to run them off with the bus?
No. I'm just saying that he was talking about how this was a top 5 offense this season. Prior to leading up to the Dallas game, and I was like, I don't know what game he was watching the coaching because it wasn't looking like a top 5 offense after the Washington game. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, he was. I'm not saying the man was lying, but he sure was telling the tale that I couldn't vouch for.
Yeah, he came out and said two things as it relates to Matt Nagy. He said he knew from the beginning that Matt Nagy would want an opportunity to run his own show, which we all heard. It was an expiring contract. He wasn't going to be coming back to KC. Andy Reid confirmed that he knew that. He also doubled down on saying that he believes Matt Nagy should be a head coach and should have an opportunity to run his own show as the head guy. As of this taping, I believe only 3 jobs remain. The Cleveland job, they've zeroed in on somebody, but they haven't made it official yet. The Arizona Cardinals job, and the Las Vegas Raiders job. I believe those are the 3 jobs that are open as of this taping where Matt Nagy can go. I didn't think that was the most newsworthy piece. I mean, you can jump back in on it, but Andy Reid trying to throw his last-ditch support behind Matt Nagy just seemed like a desperation attempt for him to make sure and say, hey, you're good here. I know it didn't work out, but we still support you in your future endeavors.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. But one thing I disagree. He actually said that Matt Nagy deserves to be a head coach, and that's where I had a problem with because he doesn't deserve. Nobody deserves to be. If anybody deserves to be a head coach, it would be Bieniemy. So I was kind of taken aback about his wording when he said that. But to your point, I mean, yeah, it did seem like it because it seemed like obviously I don't think. Well, he has an interview with the Raiders, and I don't think he's interviewed with the other two teams. I know he has an interview with the Browns, and I don't think he's even been in mentioned for the Cardinals job. And the fact that Brian Daboll got brought on as the OC for the Tennessee Titans, I think today or yesterday, was kind of surprised as well. So to me, all the quote unquote head coaching positions, I don't think it's going to go to him. And then the OC positions are starting to close ranks as well.
This is the same thing that happened to EB when EB was trying to leave.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And when he go ahead, JC, I'm sorry.
I mean, he may have to sit out a year. I know
that's what I was thinking.
They were talking about the OC job in Philly that he interviewed for that. But, going back to Andy, I mean, the guy is one of your friends. Why down the guy on his way out, try to, I think what Andy was doing was trying to get him, some more juice and maybe somebody will hire him, but he's no longer here. Why talk bad about the guy? He likes the guy. So, hey, say positive things. Hopefully he gets hired and able to go do his own thing. And like he said, they've got Eric back, so it's a win-win for all scenarios. So I think he was just trying to say positive things about him, hoping that hopefully somebody would hear and give him another interview or a job.
Well, let me say this: I agree with that, and I'm not saying that Andy should have threw dirt on him or anything like that. No, I'm just saying it was surprising some of the praise that he was given just based off the numbers and the facts that we saw, over the last 3 seasons compared to, compared to what he was when he was elevated to that position. Now, technically, I don't know if they have a quarterback's coach now. I don't, obviously he wouldn't come back, saying to take the former position that he had before he got the OC. So like you said, I do think he will sit out a year. Or he could possibly go to to a college or something. I don't know, because
a lot of OC. Did Philly hire an OC?
No,
not yet. I don't
not
think.
Not yet. But I mean, but they have other candidates as well. So
yeah, but the thing that they interviewed him and haven't offered him the job says that he's probably not their first choice, right? They're probably waiting for somebody else, maybe. Somebody that's still playing. I know Denver fired their OC I'm like, so maybe they're just going to interview and wait to see who all comes available. But still, that's not a good sign for him if they're waiting to interview other people. If you were that good and they thought that highly of you, once they brought you in, they would have given him that job. It's funny that we don't hear about him that maybe he doesn't interview well. That's the things we heard, right? That's what we heard about EB back in the day, that why he didn't get any jobs. He doesn't interview well. So
I do want to ask this question. This is open-ended, so you all can chime in. But do you think that Matt and maybe Andy, to an extent, may have put all his eggs in one basket, thinking he was going to get the Tennessee Titans job?
Could be. They obviously had the inside track with the GM there, Borgonzi, coming from KC. But I'm siding with you, Darren, and I can't believe I just said those words on this platform. If you're looking at Matt Nagy's resume, I don't know how you can have confidence and say this is the guy that I want to lead my offense. Tennessee has a young quarterback. They invested in first overall. Obviously, they didn't like what they were getting on tape last year. They got their head coach out of there quick. They want somebody that's going to stay and build. I think Saleh was a huge get for them compared to what Matt Nagy could be. And looking at what he did his last time.
And it was also surprising, too. I mean, because the hire did come out of nowhere. I mean, I think he interviewed the next, he was announced because a lot of people were thinking like Saleh and Cam Ward, but now you bring in Brian Daboll. Now things can make a little bit more sense because of what he did with Josh Allen when he got to Buffalo. So this is like you all said, good get for Nashville bringing Saleh in, and then of course Daboll probably if he can turn Cam Ward around, that again elevates him to another level to get another head coaching job. And we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Changed on Matt Nagy too. He thought it was only going to be a certain amount of jobs and a certain amount of candidates, and we had explosive coaching cycles in recent memory as far as the NFL is concerned. It just changed.
And at one time,
and coming off a terrible season
too.
I think if they would have won like they had in the past, then he probably would have still gotten all that hype and he's leading that offense, but they had a terrible season and all these other candidates, and just kind of the perfect storm. I think that and why he's still available.
And one other thing that kind of took me aback during the press conference was Andy was really trying to stress the fact on, let's say, either similarities or he was trying to maximize the similarities and lessen the differences between Matt Nagy and Eric Bieniemy, because he kept talking about he kept mentioning, of course, the quote unquote code word accountability, and was talking about how Patrick had love for both coaches, and so Andy was really trying to stress that it's not one person or one coach over the other.
Are you buying that?
No,
are you buying that?
No, not even a little bit.
Why not?
I mean, the numbers don't lie, man. But look. I mean, as it relates to Andy, yes, he feels that way. But trying to sell it to the media, that's a whole.
Well, he can't come out and say. See, you want him to come out and say Matt Nagy was terrible for us. He wasn't what we needed down the stretch. He's not going to say.
Okay, Aaron. Now this is for the audience, not for you, but you know as well as I do that Andy is going to give us coach speak on these things. It is our job to decipher it and inform the audience on what that means. So again, I don't have an issue with what he said because that's what he's supposed to say. But the thing is, for us, when we have these platforms and these shows, we have to be truthful with the audience and get through the coach speak and get to the realness of it. Because again, it wasn't the issue of whether or not Patrick, loved him or respect him. Yes, he does. I mean, those are the only two OCs that Patrick has ever had, in his playing career with the Chiefs. So, nobody's going to deny that. But there is such thing as we saw firsthand. I mean, Andy can say that both of these coaches had accountability, but no, they didn't, because Eric. I mean, and even Andy talked about it. Eric is real direct and frank when he talks to these players. And when he talks to these players and stuff, and when he's dealing with them, versus Matt. Man, look, you've seen it. I've definitely seen it these last years. Matt Nagy is someone who just did not get on the players when they made these mistakes. Trust me. And Eric Bieniemy will bench a player for dropping so many passes or false starting so many times or whatever. They did nothing. They did nothing. I mean, we saw the amount of penalties, the amount of record drops a couple of years ago. I mean, it was. I mean, come on, man. Again, Andy said what he had to say, but it's still our job to tell the audience the truth.
I thought the more interesting part of Andy Reid's availability as it relates to Eric Bieniemy is still the play calling conversation. There's so much mystique and who's calling the plays, and I believe the question was phrased, now that Eric is coming back into the fold, will he be given a longer leash to call plays and potentially put more of his fingerprints and stamp on the offense? Not a lot of time to be able to answer it on this side of the break. We can come back with more on the other side. It still feels like the same old Andy, like, I'm gonna have a 51% and I'll be open to hearing out what y'all want to say, but it's still going to be me, myself, and my offense. And that just does not give me a lot of encouragement.
I can't lie, man. This is the first time I'm going to have to agree with Aaron on this.
Let's go.
That's just something because when he, because
hey, I'm gonna just I'm gonna just bow out and let you guys have your little bro
A little
moment,
love
man.
fest. Yeah,
I'll catch y'all on Thursday. Let you guys do whatever you need to do, whatever.
Pause.
Get right next to each
Pause.
other on the on
Nah.
the screen or something.
But
let me know if I need to go.
You funny. Let's talk about this on the other.
There you go. Now all you guys need to do is just look at each other and pucker up. So let's go and get this over with. Just look at each other.
Let's take a break.
Yeah,
we'll come
up.
back on the other side. We'll cool off a little bit. We'll talk a little Hollywood Brown as well as more Eric Bieniemy. You're listening to the Chief Squad Show on the Locked On Podcast Network. There is nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, and that's with the fans. Pulled up the Game Time app, picked an upcoming NBA game, and had tickets locked and loaded within minutes. Love seeing the all-in price up front. No surprise fees at checkouts. Being able to see the view from the seats before buying made the decision easy. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone has been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are back in on the Chief Squad Show here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, Darren Smith, and J.C. Pearson. We're going to talk Hollywood Brown in a moment, but I want to make sure we get our final thoughts. We were talking Eric Bieniemy and him possibly having a little bit more of the play calling pie, but Andy Reid seems like he's very slow to relinquish that. What do you think, J.C.?
It's still going to be Andy's show. He may be, he may allow Eric a little more input, some different ideas, but ultimately it's going to be his decision. He can give his input and propose whatever he wants. Andy's going to have the final say so. So we'll see what happens there. But, one thing he did say too, that EB was very direct and got on the players and the coaches as well. So, that's something that maybe they'd been missing also. So we'll see how that turns out. But, hopefully he relinquishes a little bit to Eric, like he said he did that Eric's second year as the coordinator, when, after that first year, they were saying he didn't call plays. That's why he wasn't getting any head coaching consideration. Then supposedly that next year, Andy was going to let him call more plays. Whether that actually happened or not, I don't know. Darren might have some input on that, but we'll see how that goes coming this coming season. But I think ultimately Andy's going to have the say so on overriding anything if he does give EB play calling duties.
Yeah, look, and I'll give Andy credit. I mean, he knew the question was coming. Shout out to the Chiefs for allowing that to be the last question. Of course, they didn't let a certain group of people ask questions on the presser yesterday, but that's for another day. But the sheer fact he knew the question was coming, he had time for to come up with his answer, and it wasn't surprising because but what he did say was that he claimed that, as in the past, it's been a collective thoughts and ideas and stuff when it comes to the play calling and stuff like that. That there were times that he would let them call plays, and then he would obviously continue to call plays. But one of the things that I really hope fans understand is that, whether it was Matt Nagy or even Eric Bieniemy, it's not like they just relay whatever Andy Reid says into a headset to the quarterback. Like, they all have input throughout the week. Because otherwise, what purpose do they serve throughout the week if they're if they're not coming up with plays and play designs and things like Andy is not just sitting in his office drawing up plays and then coming saying to the rest of the coaches, say, we're gonna put this in. No, everybody saying throughout the week is those coaches are putting stuff together as a collective unit, saying, and obviously you only have so much time because you have to put, you have to install each week's game plan in by a certain day, day and time or whatever. And then, for the players to go out and practice it before they execute it. So, so to me, I just think it's disingenuous to think that Eric Bieniemy did not have a role, offensively when it comes to either play calling, the design of the plays, or things like that. Like, to give Andy Reid 100% total credit, like, of what takes place Sunday through Sunday, is just disingenuous and asinine.
All right, we will have plenty more Eric Bieniemy talk, I'm sure, as the season inches closer. We want to continue our series on free agents, unrestricted free agents for Kansas City, entering this pivotal offseason, trying to get the dynasty up and going. This episode, we are focusing on Hollywood Brown. It's JC's favorite receiver. He has played 18 games in his 2 years in Kansas City, 58 catches, 678 total yards for 5 touchdowns. Missed a lot of time in 2024 with, I believe it was the collarbone injury, or was it the clavicle or something like that. Healthy in 2025. Finished with 49 catches, 587 yards, and 5 scores. So a bulk of that production came in this last year. He signed a 1-year, $7 million deal entering last year. Enters unrestricted free agency this year at 29 years old. JC, where do you think Kansas City goes on this one? I mean, obviously, we've talked about this wide receiver room a lot. We want veterans. We want guys who can be leaders in the room. Is Hollywood Brown a leader in the room that you could see?
Well, obviously he's a veteran guy, was able to stay healthy for the most part this year, and that's kind of been the knock on him, his career when he was with Baltimore, obviously last year here, or 2 years ago here. But I think, like we were talking about with everybody else, it's going to be a money issue because, you don't know what's going to happen with Rashid right now. So it's going to be a money issue. I don't think they can give him a big contract, and I don't think they can give him that same contract. I don't know if the production warrants that, especially where they're at right now. So I would say at this point they're going to let him go out and see what he can find for himself, and if he can't find anything better, then they'll probably welcome him back at a much lower salary.
I thought $7 million was I thought that was about the going rate for a guy who's got a couple service years on him, and he's
for
about average.
Would you say 500 yards? Right.
678.
If you think about it, you think about it. I can't remember what he got a couple years ago when he first signed. I don't know if it was that same amount, but I had a chance to get more money. I think he had certain bonuses been made, but the sheer fact that he essentially played, the latter 2 games in the regular season and then the playoffs. I mean, to get that same amount of money, if not a little bit more, to come back to the last. I mean, that to me that's a raise because, he was injured most of the season 2 years ago when he got hurt on the first play of the playoffs. I mean, preseason. So, I'll be honest. I mean, he is a leader as it relates to the wide receiver room. He's a quiet person. I mean, he's a great guy. Cover him, ask for an interview, never says no. He's a nice guy, quiet guy. Again, I kind of side with JC or Aaron. Just when it comes to dollars and cents, give him a chance to go out there and see what the market, because the market will tell you itself. What you're going to bear fruit. My thing is with the Chiefs. When I look at this wide receiver room, I would prefer tall, faster wide receivers. Because Patrick threw a lot of jump balls, and I think really the only one that was really successful was Tyquan Thornton. I mean, I don't, even Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, they're, Worthy is fast, but but he's not someone that's going to go up and fight for a 50-50 ball. And so I think Patrick needs, I hate to say it, but he needs a Mike Evans type of wide receiver, because to me, we've had so many short, fast receivers that it just to me, when you get down in that red zone, you need somebody that can go up and catch it, and Travis Kelce ain't gonna be that guy for you forever.
Well, I think they've got some guys, but you got to just figure out what you have. Tyquan Thornton is a guy. Jalen Royals is a guy that, they drafted. Remigio is a guy that, they haven't really given an opportunity. I don't know if he.
All right, man. JC.
No, I'm just saying.
Who are these guys?
JC is going down the roster.
No. But I'm saying you don't get an opportunity. If you don't get an opportunity, then people are like you, Aaron. Who are these guys? But until you get an opportunity, like a Tyquan Thornton,
they are.
The wide receiver
until he got an opportunity, right? So,
I'm not letting Pat come back off of ACL throwing to Jalen Royals. I'm not that I'm saying
we don't even know what really Jalen Royals can do, but
right, he really didn't get an opportunity. Who knows, right? And that's what I'm saying. So, do you stick status quo? Those guys didn't really get it done. So, what do you do? And there are so many holes on this team right now that have to be filled. You can't fill them all with top-notch guys, right? With first rounders. You only have one first round pick. You can't fill all the holes.
And it's not going to be a wide receiver at 9.
And it's not going to be a wide receiver. So you're going to have to go and find some bargain guys at a bargain price that are veterans that are older, or give some young guys some opportunities to play. And then if they don't pan out, well, then you can always, maybe find some guys after that or trade or something. But, you got to figure out what you have, though. You can't just keep having these guys, this stockpile of guys, and paying money to, and then, we don't know if they're not what you're looking for, then move on. If they are, possibly give them an opportunity.
And I will say this to JC's point, and I think that this is where, if I can say, Andy should have taken more fault than what he probably has, because while he did bring back Eric Bieniemy, a lot of the coaching staff, at least offensively, I think it's kind of turned over. Of course, you still got Andy Heck on the offensive line, and obviously Tobe isn't going anywhere, it seems. But the sheer fact that, to JC's point, you had all these players that you brought in, obviously Jalen Royals and Brashard, the running back, and then
Smith,
but then the running backs that you bought in and had them on the practice squad the entire that you didn't use. Now, I will say this: that's not going to happen under Bieniemy. Now, he is going to get the most out of these players, and look, if you perform well, you practice well, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to see the field, and to me, he's going to put them in position to succeed. I think that it is a huge fault and a huge mark against Andy and Nagy and his coaching staff by not utilizing properly the players that you had, this past season. Because again, all off season, going into training camp and everything, all they talked about was this offense being explosive. They were explosive for maybe 4 games this year, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm kind of split between the both of y'all. I think if you're trying to get a veteran wideout who is not going to break the bank but is going to fit in and be a model citizen, Hollywood Brown fits that mold. I mean, he's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but contrary to Rashee Rice, he's at least going to make himself available and be out there for the most part. I think he runs the scheme. We've all kind of been in agreement that, hey, Matt Nagy didn't get the most juice out of the orange. Let Eric Bieniemy try and come in and get a hand at Hollywood Brown, for lack of a better term. I don't think that the production is eye-popping, but I don't think the role has been eye-popping either. And that's kind of the nature of what the offense is overall. The guys at the back end of the wide receiver room, I don't think that they factor into what's actually winning you games on Sundays. I really don't. The Nico Remigios and the I mean, Tyquan Thornton, maybe, but the Jalen Royals, like, if Mahomes wants these guys out there and he's driving the boat on offense, and everybody was frustrated with the wide receiver coach last year and they were having separate meetings with Pat and all this, if Pat's running the ship, he could pound the table and say, give me Jalen Royals out there. Like, if these guys actually were playmakers, I truly believe they would be out there. If we're talking free agent focus, which is how we started this whole thing, I'm not against bringing back Hollywood Brown at the right price.
At the right price. That's the key phrase, at the right price, right?
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
I agree with you there. I just think at the end of the day, though, I mean, one of the things that I was really upset about was that because they had, quote unquote, so much talent, is that they were trying to just give everybody the ball. You know, they were trying to pass around, and, you know, Patrick threw it to 10, 11 different receivers. To me, you know what I'm saying, like, when the rubber meets the road, you got to be like some of these teams, like, let's just say Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay go with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka. I mean, you're not going to the 6th and 7th wide receiver, putting them in the game, you know, in crunch time. No. You're going with your core group, and that's what you're going to run with. Now, you spell them for a play or two, but up and down the field, you got to go with the play. You got to go with your money makers. And to me, they didn't do that enough this season.
Well, you know, I would say too, you know, with Rashid missed however many games, 6 games, whatever.
And then I think he got injured too.
Right. But Hollywood was supposed to be like the number one guy, right?
Yep.
But and he played the whole season. We've been talking all year about them not running the ball, right? So they've been throwing the ball, but you know, if he's your number one guy, he's played more than Rashid, played more than Juju, played more than Xavier. But then Travis is still your leading receiver and yardage and catches. What is that really saying? You know, I mean, is he serviceable? Is he, you know, if he obviously he's not a number one, right? But so then you still have to go get somebody else. But, you know, I'm just saying, just the production wasn't there. We've talked all year about them not running the ball hardly. So that means they're throwing. So his numbers, to me, and again, I'm just, you know, nothing personal, but I'm just saying you would think that his numbers would be a lot better than what they are for a guy that played the whole season and was probably the number one receiver on the team with guys missing and injured. The numbers should have been better.
Yep. Let's take our final time out here on the Chiefs Squad Show. When we come back, we discuss the latest news around the Chiefs' new stadium. Stick with us. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to stay locked into every moment than with Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where it always feels good to be right. With football season coming down to its final stretch, now's the perfect time to close it out strong. Prize Picks makes watching the game even more exciting by letting you build simple lineups around player projections, no drafts, no waiting, just football action all the way through the playoffs. My favorite feature is the early payouts, which lets you cash out if a player gets off to a hot start. Love being able to mix stars from different teams and build lineups that fit how you watch the game. The new social feed makes it fun to follow friends, share lineups, and get inspiration from other players. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Final segment here on the Chief Squad Show in the midweek. Aaron Ladd, Darren Smith, JC Pearson. This was a good ad read day for me, JC. I see you smiling over there.
No. I'm saying you should have let Darren hit that tagline. It's good to be right, because he will let you know when he's right.
Trust me.
The audience will too, you know.
He will let you know. I told you.
I did. Facts are facts.
A little bit of news here, not a lot of reaction here, but we can put a bow on the rest of the show. Kansas City has narrowed down the 2 finalists for their new stadium to be built in Wyandotte County. Kansas set to open in 2031. Manica and Populous are the final 2 candidates to build the team's new $3 billion domed stadium. The announcement comes about a month after the agreement for a deal on the Kansas side. Both of these firms are local to the Kansas City area, which I think is cool. Obviously, Populous has a lot of recent projects, Highmark Stadium being one of them, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Manica has Nissan Stadium, the new one in Nashville, as well as Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. So the things are coming into shape, if you will, for the Chiefs' new stadium. But honestly, watching these games over this past weekend, I can't help but feel like Kansas City is going to miss something when they go to a domed stadium. There's something so cool about being out in the atmosphere, having that home field advantage, being able to, I think back to the wild card game against the Dolphins where they're freezing and KC is cold too, but they're used to it and they got that big advantage. It just kind of bums me out a little bit. I know we still have a long runway until it gets here, but it bums me out that the outside and the elements is not going to be a factor for KC anymore.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. Steve and I, we were talking about the other day. Look, this one a few times we were wondering, like, okay, if the Chiefs were playing and they, of course, had home field advantage and were playing it, man, like I don't know whether or not the team or the league, because you remember that one time that I think they were going to face Buffalo or Cincinnati, depending on the matchup. They were going to move the game to Atlanta, and I think I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was weather.
That was because of the DeMar Hamlin situation and the unevenness of the game, because they didn't finish that game out. So because it was uneven in the AFC, they were going to take away the home field advantage. That didn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for reminding me, but I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I was going to be in the press box, so it wasn't going to bother me. And I know JC was going to be sitting, in the owner's box, in
the suite, yeah.
Taylor, so he and I were going to be warm. Everybody else, I don't know. So to me, to be quite honest, and I'll be serious for a second. The way that Denver Patriots game turned out, I mean, looking at pregame, the CBS show, and then of course you go through the first three quarters. Everything was great, but between that third and fourth quarter, it became unwatchable, and and it became a point to where it was like, this game needs to end. But also at the end of the day, it wasn't good football, and so for the viewing audience, people that pay. To be honest, now, I mean, and think about it. Outside of New York, and I think one of the Super Bowls where it rained or whatever. That might have been New York too, but it was another stadium where it was pouring down raining. The NFL has a Super Bowl in a dome or in a warm weather city for this exact reason. So it's like, if that's the case, and granted, if it's in Buffalo, okay, that's just what it is. But if you're in Kansas City and you can have it in a dome, look, I'm open to it now. So it is what it is.
And, it's first of all, I'm going to tell you that whoever said that the freezing cold is football weather, it's ridiculous.
Never play football in the freezing. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and until somebody, gets serious frostbite, a fan, a player, or something.
Well, that happened, man. Well, to that point, it happened 2 years ago. I mean, I think it was like between 20 and 40 people they got frostbitten.
Right, but and then sue the league. All those things are, they're going to continue to do that. But it makes no sense. And when the weather's that bad, I mean, do you want your teams that are playing to go to the Super Bowl to have the weather be a factor, or do you want those two teams? You want to see the best of those two teams, in a domed environment or whatever, so that those two teams are playing their ultimate best without any weather factors, and to see what teams are the best teams to go and not have the weather be an issue. But I mean, as a player, I hated playing in the cold weather. It really, so I'm not opposed to a dome stadium whatsoever. And, some of the fans like it, but I think the fans will appreciate it when they're inside and they're warm watching the game and it's, minus 10 outside.
And one other thing to your point, JC, I mean, think about it. Imagine if the game was here and the Chiefs lost because of the weather.
Both teams are playing in it, though. It's not like
hold on, Aaron, think about it. Like you said, Miami don't play in that kind of weather. If Miami would have came in the wild card and they beat the Chiefs, what would that have said about the Chiefs and the home field advantage and all that?
Well, just like when Indy came in here and won in the playoffs. Indy's a dome team, and they came in here, that 13-3 season. Chiefs had home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and Indy won. Yeah, but again, I mean, I just think when it gets down to that point, you want to see the best of both teams, let them battle it out to see which team is the best. And another interesting fact is Populous, who has built many stadiums, as Aaron said, but one of the co-founders is a former Chiefs player, Scott Radisek, played here in Kansas City, and now he's one of the co-founders and owners there at Populous.
Yeah, shout out to Big Dog, because that is true. They have to play on some real grass. And look, one other thing, I don't care who gets the contract to win it. They just better have a decent number of women and minorities working on it. So that's my big thing. Make sure
we're going to say something about the media food.
Yeah, I did.
They have.
I did too.
No. Because unfortunately, Airmark might still have that contract. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be quiet. I'll still be able to bring my gates out there. So I'm going to chill on that.
Still plenty of time before 2031. We've punched all the holes in the Darren Smith bingo card for this episode. Let's get out of here a little early, fellas. Any final thoughts before our Thursday episode? I think there was some productive conversation in this one.
No, I mean, I think we all picked the Super Bowl participants correctly, didn't we? Or
I had the Rams. Yeah,
oh, did you? Both. Wait a minute. Hold on now. Wait a minute. Both of y'all had the Rams.
Hold on.
Hey, if they score in the red zone there in the fourth quarter,
First of all,
if it was a fifth.
Well, JC, hold on. I was very upfront about the Rams. My cousin is a chaplain for him, so I couldn't go against him because I don't want to deal with that when he comes home. So no, I have no problem with saying that I picked the Rams because my cousin is a chaplain for them. So
there's only
now
one person.
His prayers didn't get answered Sunday. His prayers didn't get answered on Sunday, but
I'm sure Seattle has a chaplain too.
Exactly. But that home field advantage kind of helped. That home field advantage kind of helped too.
Sam Darnold played the best game of his career. I can't even knock him. I did not see that coming. He proved me wrong, and he's the reason why they won that game, and they're representing the NFC.
And Denver played well too in the AFC, much better than I thought they were going to play, and in particular Stidham. I thought he played pretty well.
So let me ask you all this. I mean, just kind of looking at those games or whatever. Denver, they're going to be building a new stadium, and the owner is paying for everything out of his pocket. Shout out to the to them. When you look at that, I mean, do you feel like that game would have been better off in a dome? I mean, obviously, they're probably still going to keep the outside element, but I mean, because think about it, the kicker missed 3 kicks in that game.
Yeah, and once the weather turned and got bad, there were a lot of drop balls and
players slipping left and right.
Yeah. So I think the weather did play a factor in the game. So, I would have liked to see it in a fair weather place where you get the best of both teams, but it is what it is.
The Chiefs are an original franchise. Like, this is a team that still wears the same uniforms that they've worn for years and years. Like,
the Dallas Cowboys, look at what they play.
I get it. The team wants the highest tech and the best and an advantage, and they want to be like a tick better than the competition. But sometimes, how we started things is how you get that advantage. I don't know. I see
the Bears. Look at Chicago, right? The Rams
went playing in the Indiana,
right? But the Rams went in there. It was a bad weather game. The Rams went in there and beat them. So just because it's home, your home field is the weather's bad and all that doesn't necessarily give you a huge advantage. But hey. It did for me because, hell, wherever it was cold, I didn't want to play. So I ain't gonna lie. When I ran out that tunnel and that hawk hit me, boy, I was like, ooh wee, it is cold out here.
Let's get out of here. We will be back on Thursday, and we'll have more thoughts then. We'll continue our free agent focus series. Until then, stay safe and make good decisions.
As you sit in your warm studio.